Stephen A. Smith. Wow. Color me shocked. Stephen A. Smith raging about the New York Knicks losing game 5. What a clout chaser. Wow. Just wow. This is Sports Guy Talking that you guys are watching and listening to. I am Dustin Tran, your host, as I am here today to talk about Stephen A. Smith having a meltdown over the Knicks losing Game 5 to the 76ers at home. The Knicks had a 6-point lead with less than 30 seconds left to go and found a way to blow that lead at home. With that choke job happening, the Knicks now have to play Game 6 on the road as they are only up 3-2 in this series. Before I say anything else though, I want to present you guys with a topic question. So here it is. Should the Knicks be worried after blowing a lead in Game 5 against the 76ers, contrary to the overreaction that is happening on Twitter and amongst basketball fans? I am not going to overreact as to what happened with the New York Knicks in Game 5, and I'm going to say that the New York Knicks should not be worried after blowing a lead in Game 5 against the 76ers. That being said though, they have to absolutely lock in and play a really good game in Game 6 against the Philadelphia 76ers on the road, because if they don't play a good game against the Philadelphia 76ers on the road, the Sixers are probably going to come away with a Game 6 victory at Philadelphia, which would then set up a Game 7 where we all know that anything can happen in a Game 7, even though Game 7 is at New York. And even though I'm not too worried about the New York Knicks losing Game 5 to the Philadelphia 76ers, I do think the New York Knicks need to get better production out of the role players, because there is no way that they can be relying on Jalen Brunson to take every shot in overtime of Game 5. Obviously, Jalen Brunson is a great basketball player. I think he's had a tremendously underrated season for the New York Knicks. That being said, for them though, they need other players to step up outside of Jalen Brunson, because you cannot just have one guy take every single shot in overtime. I don't care who it is on the basketball court. You can have Michael Jordan out there on the basketball court, and I would still say that somebody other than Michael Jordan needs to take a shot in overtime. There is no reason for Jalen Brunson to take every single shot in overtime, with the exception of 2 shots, one of which was basically at the end of the game, so who cares? My point being is that Jalen Brunson cannot only carry the Knicks alone. He needs help on his team, just like all superstars need help on the New York Knicks. And by the way, Jalen Brunson is a legitimate superstar for the New York Knicks. You look at how he is doing their AI impression on the New York Knicks. AI is Allen Iverson, for the people that don't know who he is. Obviously, Allen Iverson was one of the great players that played in the NBA. He did a great job carrying the Philadelphia 76ers to the NBA Finals back in 2001. Obviously, the New York Knicks right now are appreciating greatness in Jalen Brunson, because he's had a fantastic postseason run so far. He's played great basketball for the Knicks, and even though they've missed Julius Randle due to injury in the NBA playoffs, the Knicks for the most part have not missed a beat. And I understood that some people were talking about how the New York Knicks actually hurt themselves by obtaining the number 2 seed in the Eastern Conference, which I said at the time was a bunch of bullcrap, because you play to what? You play to win the game. And obviously the New York Knicks played to win the game, and they got the higher seed. And even though they might have gotten the tougher matchup on paper, guess what? They're on the verge of closing out this series with a victory and heading to round 2 of the NBA playoffs, while the Milwaukee Bucks, who obtained the number 3 seed in the Eastern Conference and supposedly had the easier first round matchup, they're on the verge of losing their series to the Indiana Pacers, because right now they're in a dogfight and they're down 3-2 in the series. Yeah, I know they don't have Giannis Antetokounmpo or Damian Lillard out there on the basketball court due to injury, but at the end of the day though, we all know that the Philadelphia 76ers are a better team than the Indiana Pacers on paper. And even despite that, the New York Knicks have found a way to be up in that series. And you look at how the Milwaukee Bucks, they have not found a way to be up in that series against the Indiana Pacers. Obviously, you look at how the New York Knicks have had a phenomenal season. They've gotten the number 2 seed for the first time in over a decade, and you have to appreciate the greatness of Jalen Brunson. As far as the overreactions that are occurring on Twitter right now, I think it's a bunch of baloney that there is this much overreaction to the New York Knicks losing Game 5. I don't see the New York Knicks blowing a 3-1 lead in this series. I mean, look, Tyrese Maxey, he's a great player, don't get me wrong, but there's no way Tyrese Maxey is going to go off for 46 points again in a playoff game. Joel Embiid, even though he didn't have a great night shooting the basketball, he did do a great job playing defense, and he got a triple-double on the basketball court. Again, that's probably not going to happen, because Joel Embiid is not not a great passer of the basketball. I highly doubt he's going to get 10 assists in a basketball game again. And obviously, Tobias Harris shot the ball pretty efficiently. He scored 19 points. I don't think that's going to happen again. I don't think the Philadelphia 76ers are going to play as good as they did in Game 5, even though I know that Game 6 is at Philadelphia, because I don't see Tobias Harris shooting the ball that efficiently again. And I don't see Tyrese Maxey going off for 46 points again like he did in Game 5. And I don't see Joel Embiid getting a triple-double for the Philadelphia 76ers the way that he did in Game 5. And obviously, you look at how the New York Knicks did not get good contributions from the role players whatsoever. DiVincenzo was a complete liability for the New York Knicks. Obviously, McBride didn't have a great night shooting the basketball from 3 as well. 2 of 7 shooting from the 3-point line. He really didn't do a whole lot on the basketball court, and Mitchell Robinson needed to play a better basketball game as well. How do you play 25 minutes in a playoff game and you only score 2 points? Yes, I know that you're a defensive player, and I know that offense is not exactly your strong suit, but you're supposed to be on the basketball court and you're supposed to be scoring points for them. I mean, according to Stephen A. Smith, who's supposedly a die-hard Knicks fan, he calls Mitchell Robinson a weapon. He calls Isaiah Hartenstein a weapon. What are those weapons for the New York Knicks? Isaiah Hartenstein only scored 6 points the entire ball game for the New York Knicks last night. That's unacceptable. They need more contributions from the role players. And before I ramble on too much though about the Knicks, I want to show you guys this clip to Stephen A. Smith reacting to New York Knicks collapsing against the Philadelphia 76ers. He recorded his immediate post-game reactions. Roll of film.
Why did Mitchell Robinson foul Tyrese Maxey on that 3-point shot? Why did Josh Hart make the turnover on the outlet pass? Why did he not convert both free throws instead of just one? Why did he seem so erratic throughout the game? And oh, by the way, as great as Jalen Brunson was overall with his 40-point performance, did you not notice you had 4 teammates on the court with you in overtime to pass the ball to instead of taking every damn shot? The New York Knicks, with their injuries to Julius Randle, are not fully armed. They can't afford to play like that. But they did. And they gave up the big-time 3 from the logo to Maxey instead of doubling him. And Tom Thibodeau decides to play McBride and take DiVincenzo out of the game all of that time instead of interchanging both of them. There's a whole bunch of mistakes to point to. But all right. I'll talk about it with y'all tomorrow on the Stephen A. Smith Show and on First Take.
Now, that was actually pretty funny on what Stephen A. Smith said. I was actually genuinely entertained listening to that clip that Stephen A. Smith was saying last night about the New York Knicks, although I disagreed with them on several points. The guy was crying about how Donte DiVincenzo wasn't on the court nearly enough, but to be honest, Donte DiVincenzo was a complete liability for the New York Knicks last night. They had to go with McBride. McBride was the better player last night for the New York Knicks, undecidedly. If you actually watched the game, you guys would all know that Donte DiVincenzo was a complete liability for the New York Knicks. And also, he complained about the fact that they didn't double Tyrese Maxey, but of course, that's easier said than done, because obviously, the Philadelphia 76ers, they're going on the court pretty quickly. They didn't have a timeout. They were going full court, and they're honestly just going Tyrese Maxey pick and roll, and Tyrese Maxey, he shoots a logo 3, he ends up making the shot. Look, that's not really a high percentage shot for a guy like Tyrese Maxey, and if he makes it, he makes it. It is what it is, and I think the New York Knicks, they should be angered that they lost Game 5, but they need to, quite frankly, get over with it and move on to Game 6, because they still got 2 opportunities to win the series, which I believe they will take care of in Game 6. I did predict before the series started that the New York Knicks would win the series in 6 games. Guess what? Now it's Game 6, and you guys have to remember that the New York Knicks already stole Game 2, a game that they probably should have lost to the Philadelphia 76ers. So the way I see it right now, the New York Knicks are even with the Philadelphia 76ers, and it's 3-2 heading back to Philly. I believe New York closes out Game 6 with a win. It's going to be a defensive struggle, but they're going to get the job done. Obviously, Jalen Brunson is going to have another great night for the New York Knicks, and I believe one of their other role players is going to show up. I also disagree with the fact that Stephen A. Smith was talking about Julius Randle being missed out there on the basketball court, and I understand that Julius Randle is an all-star player, but honestly, Julius Randle missing the playoffs for the New York Knicks might actually be a good thing, because Julius Randle has been a complete liability for the New York Knicks in the playoffs in past seasons. So that's actually addition by subtraction. Obviously, the New York Knicks, though, they need more contributions from the role players. Do I believe they get it, though? Absolutely. I believe Dante DiVincenzo has a bounce-back game in Game 6 against the Philadelphia 76ers, and even if he doesn't, another role player for the New York Knicks will step up, and of course, Jalen Brunson is going to have an amazing game for the New York Knicks, and they're going to get the job done. And Philly, I thought Stephen A. Smith overreacted entirely. That being said, though, I don't rely on Stephen A. Smith for analysis. I rely on Stephen A. Smith to provide me entertainment, and to his credit, he actually did a good job entertaining me about the New York Knicks, and you could tell that Stephen A. Smith actually watched the game last night for the New York Knicks because of the fact that he was actually able to describe somewhat accurately what happened on the basketball court, and that he actually seemed to be passionate about the New York Knicks instead of talking about how Quentin Grimes was a massive weapon for the New York Knicks, or how Isaiah Hartenstein, that's the way he said his name, is actually Hartenstein. But anyways, the point is Stephen A. Smith was talking about how he was a difference maker for the New York Knicks. So to the credit of Stephen A. Smith, he actually watched Game 5 of the NBA playoffs for the Philadelphia 76ers and New York Knicks matchup. So credit to Stephen A. Smith for actually doing his job properly. But I don't agree with Stephen A. Smith's take. I don't think you need to be overreactionary to the New York Knicks losing Game 5. They're going to get the job done in Game 6. Now, if they lose Game 6, though, then I would be worried if you're the New York Knicks. But I don't think they're going to lose Game 6 in Philly. Jalen Brunson's going to find a way to get the job done for the Knicks, and they're going to win this series in 6 games, just like they were supposed to before this series started. So that is why the Knicks should not be worried after blowing a lead in Game 5 against the 76ers, although they certainly need to treat Game 6 like a Game 7 if they are to win this game on the road. That being said, the Knicks will end up winning Game 6, as I predicted before this series that the Knicks would beat the 76ers in 6 games. Remember, go ahead and subscribe to Sports Guy Talking, like the video, and please comment down below. If you guys do that, I may shout you guys out in my Instagram story every Monday. That'll be for the @Dustin Tran Instagram account. Make sure to follow me on Instagram @Dustin Tran and that Sports Guy Talking. Also, go follow me on Twitter @Dustin Tran. Again, go ahead and do those things that I just told you guys to go do. Hopefully, you guys enjoyed the content that was just produced. Peace out. I hope you enjoyed that video. Want more Sports Guy Talking, the home of great sports content? Make sure you click that subscribe button to get the latest from Sports Guy Talking. Go ahead and like the video, comment down below, check the description box on the video in order to follow my Instagram and Twitter. Also, be sure to check out more of the best clips from the YouTube channel Sports Guy Talking.